Hey, Elon, this is Bikash. I have one question.
Sure.
So we know
Sorry,
that
Yeah.
we know that we love you all. We love from our bottom of the heart. We love you so much, Elon.
Thank you.
My
Love
question
you too.
is, my question is like, we all know Tesla will be the most valuable company in the world one day.
Yeah.
We just want to know if you have any prediction when and what is the inflection point. When we can say this is the inflection point, is it solving the FSD or is it like Optimus on ground will be the point from your perspective?
Well, as I mentioned before, I think it's worth looking at the ARK Invest analysis. I think that is the most accurate analysis. Their prediction is, I think, $5 to $7 trillion by 2029 market cap. So more than 10 times what things are today in 5 years. I think that is accurate.
Thank you, Elon.
All right.
Hey, Elon.
Hey.
Hey, huge fan, and I think history will show that you've had a profound impact on humanity. So I think that's
Thanks.
just given. And just a couple of questions, I guess. I fixed my Tesla addiction by putting cars on Turo, and I found that about half my renters is the first time they're driving a Tesla, and then the other half really want to buy one after they've tried it out. So I guess a couple of questions. When could we expect maybe the referral program to come back, if it would come back? And
Sure.
could we also get a passenger van, like a 12-passenger van, sometime soonish?
I'll add that to my list. So the referral program, I think we'll re-examine the referral program probably next quarter, it is very important to sort of look at what is the fully considered cost of a Tesla. So if with the referral program, it effectively increases the price of the car. So, is the price increase, what is better for the end customer? A slight price increase because of the referral program or not? But I think we'll re-examine that, I think, in next quarter and see if it makes sense. I think some kind of referral program does make sense. But I think for a lot of people, by far the biggest thing we see is that people just can't afford the car. That's the biggest thing. That's the limiter on demand. You can imagine in the limit if there was, say, an 18, if Model Y cost less than $20,000, it would sell probably 5 million units. It would be insane. So now that's not feasible, today, but I think working on figuring out ways to make more affordable vehicles is really the game changer. For most people, it is really not a question of whether they want a Tesla. They do want a Tesla. They simply do not have enough money to afford one. So we have to make it affordable. That's essential. Thank you.
Hey, Elon. I just want to introduce myself. My name's Hamza. First off, thank you for introducing me to Anurbeck. He and I are now close thanks to you, and I moved to Austin thanks to you. So my question is basically for FSD transfer. I think that should be something that should be ongoing. I think not only on the benefit of you for getting more people on the fleet and getting statistics and info, but also as Tesla owners, it makes us want to get the next model and transfer over. For instance, the thing that's been holding me back is wanting to wait for the FSD transfer again. So is there a reason why you haven't implemented that for ongoing time?
It is pretty complex for us to do this. It sort of it adds a fair bit of complexity to the sales process. Yeah, and it is tough because we've got to earn revenue somehow. So, transfer is tough. But we sorry? One more quarter. Okay, one more quarter. All right. You got it. One more quarter. All right. So, yeah. All right.
Oh, Elon, thank you for hosting us. If you can see me, I'm trembling uncontrollably. I really look up to you, shareholder, consumer. Tripled my humble, tiny little portion of your shares the last 2 days. Just being engaged, knowing we're coming here, and appreciate you hosting up shareholders, and it just means so much to us.
You're welcome.
You're an absolute idol. This question comes because I care about you as a human being, but in the context of being a shareholder, unlocking these values of optimists, we need you. And just with all the global uncertainty, you're so high profile, just want to make sure you're doing everything to take care of yourself, safety, and health for the future of the company. I say that because I care about you as a person, but since this is a shareholder meeting, in the spirit of shareholder value.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind sentiments. Yeah, I think I probably need to like work out, and and like not get assassinated or something, I mean, it is getting a little crazy these days. Like to first approximation, the probability that a homicidal maniac will try to kill you is proportionate to how many homicidal maniacs hear your name. Okay. So they hear my name a lot. I'm like, okay, I'm on the list, So, yeah, so we actually did have 2 homicidal maniacs in the last roughly 7 months come to aspirationally try to kill me and a bunch of other people. So it's not just me. And there wasn't like an actual issue that they articulated. They were just, in the homicidal maniac career. So, so I do need to be kind of careful. Which is not great because it like forces me to be a bit more sort of standoffish, and like so now like I've like stopped signing things because just something. Because like that would be a sure way to like homicidal maniac. I'll just have to sign something and then shoot him, type of thing. So then I have to be like more standoffish and stuff, which I prefer not to be, but it seems wise. Like think of like John Lennon, who was like singing about like, hey, can't we all just be nice to each other? And then he got shot, by one of his fans. You're like, okay, we'll try to avoid that. So. Anyway, I appreciate the kind sentiments. I will endeavor to stay alive and keep, yeah. So, all right.
Hi, Elon. I was reading an article the other day. Is Tesla still have somewhere in the product timeline a home HVAC system in the works?
A home interact system. We do not have a home interact system that I'm aware of. No, we do not one.
HVAC system.
Oh, HVAC. Oh, yeah. HVAC. Yeah, sure. Yeah, in the list of things that would be like more useful than, or like it would be nice to do, would be a great HVAC system that is very power efficient. Has like a built-in HEPA filter, and like take a lot of the things that we've learned in the car and apply that to home HVAC. Because I actually, maybe there is a great home HVAC system out there, but I haven't found it, which is pretty wild. And just building in the filtration system and being able to sort of maybe also control humidity somewhat, and like I said, be super efficient and quiet, which are all things that we do in the car. That would be a pretty sweet thing to do. Maybe we can combine that with the Powerwall or something. Now on the list of things to do, that is not super high, but it would be cool to do that one day. Yeah.
Hi, Elon. This is Sandeep. I just want to thank you for making the Cybertruck.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, kids
Yeah.
love it. Really,
Yeah,
my
kids
4
love
and
it.
6-year-old, they love it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Kids, it's like amazing. It's like
I went to Disney last week. Nobody looks at Disney. Everybody looks at Cybertruck.
yeah.
There's a funny story, if you may allow. So we were preparing my daughter. We went to Destin, and then from there we were driving to Disney, and then we were preparing my daughter to. She's 4 years just get used to the lines, and you have to have a lot of patience to get in the line. And she's like, Dada, why don't we just say we'll show you our Cybertruck and then we'll cut the lines? I mean, she got used to it because we were
Sure.
driving superchargers, and then everybody was coming over, taking pictures.
Sure.
It's a funny story,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have a request. Would you allow 6-year-old to tour the factory maybe someday in the future? Right now it's capped
Sure.
at 12 years.
Okay.
Even though we have referral rewards, it's capped at 12 years. Would you allow the kids
Yeah.
to tour the factory? Maybe they can see the robots.
Sure. Sure.
If we make an event or something like that.
Yeah, maybe we could have like we're just like worried about kid safety and stuff, in case kid like goes running off into like the robot cell or something. But yeah, we could, I think, lower maybe have like a more limited tour that's, enables younger kids to go. Sure, we'll do that. All right. Let's see. Yeah, okay.
Donald Trump has been a big critic of electric vehicles. But last week, he surprised us by saying he's a big fan of Tesla and a big fan of you.
Yeah.
What did you tell him?
Well, I can be persuasive. So, yeah. Actually, I don't exactly know why he. This is a good question. I mean, I have had some conversations with him, and he does call me out of the blue for no reason. I don't know why, but he does, and it's like he's very nice when he calls, and and I was like, electric cars I think are pretty good for the future. America's the leader in electric cars. Buy America and stuff, and. And I think he actually, a lot of his friends now have Teslas, and they will love it, and he's a huge fan of the Cybertruck. So I think those may be contributing factors. So.
Hey, Elon, on your right.
Sorry, yeah.
My name's Keanu, a longtime fan of your brand and company and everything. I'm wondering, when you take the driver out of the seat for the driverless car, how do you plan to handle interventions, which I'm sure will happen at some rate, even if they're rare?
Yeah, so clearly we want to make sure that if there's no driver in the car, the probability of a severe intervention is extremely low. We want to make sure that the car is extremely cautious around vulnerable road users like cyclists or pedestrians. So really, we'd want the probability of hurting a pedestrian or cyclist to be incredibly low, way lower than someone driving a car. Now, then there are interventions that happen where the car is simply gets stuck down a one-way street with a crazy construction situation. But in which case it'll basically phone home and say, "Help! I'm stuck." And then I think we can probably solve a lot of these things just by, remoting into the car and kind of steering it like a giant RC car. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I think we'll do. Thank you.
Hey, Elon, Anwarbek from Kazakhstan. Thanks for installing superchargers. I just want to acknowledge Tesla, Boomer Mama, and Sawyer Merritt for all the efforts that they organized the.
Yeah.
There's a after party to celebrate at Luster Pearl East. If you guys want to come and celebrate all the efforts for the community. Congratulations, Elon.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for hosting today, Elon. It's about 4 years since you did Battery Day and drew out those very ambitious targets of getting to 1 terawatt-hour of batteries. And earlier in your presentation, you alluded to the great difficulty of scaling up this new technology. I think as shareholders, we're most interested Can you tell us a little bit more? Because in terms of affordability, which you also mentioned as this huge burden, these 4680s get manufacturing credits and also on the consumer side get large credits as well. If you could scale that so that we could produce full level of Cybertrucks and also start to put them back in the Y and the 3, potentially it would greatly improve affordability and be great in terms of scale.
Sure. So achieving affordability is actually, at this point, more about the rest of the car than it is actually about the battery pack. So the price per kilowatt hour of cells from suppliers has dropped dramatically. So there was a massive spike for a few years in the cost of lithium-ion cells from suppliers because every car manufacturer put in gigantic orders for battery packs, like giant orders. So the price of lithium and like all the raw materials and the battery cells went crazy. It doubled. Like the price of cells doubled. Price of lithium, I think, went up at almost like five-fold or like 500%. Like went up crazy numbers. So since then, the demand, like suppliers, battery cell suppliers, have increased their supply, and the orders from other car manufacturers have declined. So I mean, it is worth noting that it's tough sledding out there for EVs. You know, GM announced, I think, a 50% reduction recently in their EVs. Ford announced reductions. I think almost every manufacturer has announced reductions in their electric vehicle plans. Now Tesla, we're going to increase, but it is not an easy market. But to get the cost of the car down, it's really the battery pack is a piece of the puzzle, but it's really everything else too. So I really would describe like we're making a car more affordable. It's like Game of Thrones, but pennies. Game of pennies. So there's, quote to first approximation, 10,000 unique items in a car, and if each one costs $5, or you know, then you've got a $50,000 car. So to actually get the cost of the car down, you've got to chisel away pennies, and to get the 10,000 items to be, you know, $3 instead of $5. That's kind of what it amounts to. Now, with respect to our own cell production, we do see a path to cost parity by the end of this year. A very difficult path to cost parity. Currently, our 4680s cost more than our suppliers. Now, they cost more than the suppliers today, but they cost less than the suppliers a year ago. So, you know, there's a bit of a feast-famine thing with battery cell supply. It's kind of like for DRAM chips. You know, like the DRAM industry goes from like, you know, oversupply to undersupply. The price of DRAM changes like crazy. It's kind of like that for cells. But we expect to achieve cost parity with even the much lower supplier cell price today by the end of the year. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Musk. I've been a long-term investor since 2012.
Great. Wow.
And I
That's
voted
awesome.
for your compensation package in 2018 and again this year. And shout out to Tesla Boomer Mama, Alexandra. I had the privilege to talk to you in 2013 briefly, and you spoke about the truck, which became the Cybertruck. You're a man of your word. I have friends all over the world, in Asia, Canada, and Europe, and I know the Cybertruck's been on tour. How's been the reception for the Cybertruck, and when will it be, or is it possible to sell, and when will it be sold internationally?
Yeah, so I think probably, you know, we might be able to certify it for other markets sometime next year. But like for sure this year, it's just North America. We did design the car to North American requirements because if you start going with the superset of all international requirements, it forces a lot of constraints on Cybertruck that would make the product frankly worse. So I think we'll need to make a special version that is, for example, China compliant or Europe compliant. But it really doesn't make sense to add that complexity until we've achieved higher volume production on the Cybertruck. There's still a lot of work to do on cost down for the Cybertruck. I generally would say like the level of difficulty going from say prototype, you go from prototype to production. It's 100 times harder to go from prototype to production is 100 times harder, and then once you reach production, to improve the price by 20%, or the cost of goods by 20%, is harder than reaching production in the first place. Like, it's mega pain. It's like, and to be frank, it's not the funnest job in the world. Like chiseling pennies is not, it's like washing the dishes, frankly. Like wash a lot of dishes here. Like, it's super fun to make prototypes. That's really fun, and it's kind of cool to get, it's pretty cool to get the production going. Then the cost grind is a grind. That is like, it's hard work. There's some reward to it. Like, there's sort of a reward to washing the dishes, I guess. You have clean dishes. But that is tough. So that's real hard work.
I just have to say that there's been a really big reception. Like, I have friends that message me and said they love the Cybertruck design, and it's definitely a head turner. So. Oh
yeah, I think from a demand standpoint, we would have plenty of demand in other parts of the world for Cybertruck, no question. Like, wherever it goes, anywhere in the world, it gets a massive crowd. So it's not a demand thing. It's really, we've got to reach volume production, go through the cost grind. It would be difficult for me to overstate the difficulty in the cost grind. It's really intense. And then we've got to recertify the car, which includes making some design changes to be compliant in other markets. All right.
Good afternoon, Elon.
Hey.
I like your shoes. I don't know if everybody else can see them.
Yeah, Cybertruck.
Out there. Cybertruck, yeah. My question was in regards to the Foundation series. Do you guys have a certain number that you are planning on making, or a timeline of when the non-Foundation series are going to come out?
Yeah, we'll start making we'll end the Foundation series actually pretty soon, and the non-Foundation series sometime next quarter. Yeah.
Hi, Elon. Thank you for delivering shareholder value, and congrats on your pay package.
Thank you.
And I'm Michael. I ask a lot of questions on the quarterly investor calls. And I wanted to ask you, can you give me a little bit more color on the neural net scaling laws that you're seeing as you're training FSD? Like, how much data, how much more inference compute, how much more training compute do you need for each successive 9 in reliability of the full self-driving software? And how much data are you currently collecting? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's something that we go through really every week at Tesla. I spend a lot of time with the Tesla AI team, I think probably a huge portion of. It's really like a big part of my job is like, okay, we need to get the car to drive itself. You need to solve things on a chip level for inference, for training, for software. There's also massive data storage challenges because you've got petabytes of video coming in. And even for a big NVIDIA cluster, it's actually really hard to make a big NVIDIA cluster actually work in training. It doesn't just open the box and plug it in. It's not like that at all. It's like massive effort required to get a big training cluster to operate at all, and then operate with high uptime. With respect to like the various versions that we're seeing, like you go from version 12.3. Well, like if you just ignore the 12 and think of it like 3, 4, 5, 6, that's actually the way to think about it. ignore the 12 part and just call it like version 3, version 4, version 5. That's version 6. That's how to think about it. Between each one, there's anywhere from, I don't know, a minimum of a doubling of improvement to, in some cases, I think a 5 to 10-fold improvement. You know, especially as we eliminate sort of, say, I think we're close to eliminating almost all static object collisions. So, you know, like curves and medians, and like we're pretty close to having it to have almost zero static object collisions. So once you get to zero static object, now you have a gigantic improvement in miles between intervention. Then you get into classes of dynamic objects that are, you know, different classes, and different things can get obviously very complicated if you've got a complex intersection with traffic lights all over the place, and like somebody bumped the one traffic light and now it's pointing in the wrong direction, or the traffic light's broken, and there's someone who is not obeying the traffic laws because they're just running a red, or they got confused about the traffic light. So you get into these very complex situations that are much harder to solve. And then, like as I was saying earlier, it actually gets, as the system gets better, it gets harder to figure out which AI model is better. Because now, you know, like, okay, it's thousands of miles between intervention. How do we, as quickly as possible, figure out which AI model is better? And when you make these different AI models, they're obviously not like super deterministic. So you could have a new model that eliminates one problem, but creates another problem. So we're trying to solve this by a combination of simulation, uploading models, having them run in shadow mode. So it's actually kind of helpful that not everyone has full self-driving, because we can see, we can run it in shadow mode and see what would this new model have done compared to what the user did. So since we've got, you know, millions of cars that we can do this with, that gives us a delta between what the AI model predicted would do and the user would do. And if you kind of sum up the errors between them, you can see, oh, there was a bigger error stack from this model versus that model when you uploaded them into, we each uploaded them into 100,000 cars. But that's the biggest limiter right now. It's not training, it's not data, it's actually testing the AI models. And then figuring out clever ways to figure out if a new model is better or not. Like we know, like there are sort of particular intersections that are difficult. And so if we just, like all the models will be great at like driving on a well-painted road with no intersection. They'll all be great at that. But will they be great at the complicated? So we've identified several thousand intersections in the United States where we'll actually take the new model and try the car in those very difficult intersections, like the, you know, the sort of the famous like Chuck's left turn. Yeah. So if you imagine Chuck's left turn, hey Chuck. I wonder what the neighbors think. But there's many such complicated traffic situations in the country. So we've identified several thousand, which we then send cars to those locations to compare the models. And then, as I mentioned, we have yet to uncork any of the ability of hardware 4, which we'll do later this year. So I think the exponential rate of improvement of miles between intervention will continue and will accelerate. Yeah. So.
Hey, Elon. I was wondering if, as you've called a Tesla basically a robot with wheels, and so I'm wondering, kind of as that logic transfers over to Optimus, what kind of will Tesla use any large language models on top of the current Tesla robotics capabilities, and also, if so, will Optimus have any kind of personality? And would that be something that the end user might be able to have control over?
Yes to all of those questions. Yes to all. So, like, we're headed for a wild future. I mean, wild, wild, wild. You know, cars will drive themselves. People will have super helpful humanoid help robots. And yeah, you'll be able to customize the personality, customize the voice. And really kind of the robot will kind of get to know you as well and know your preferences. You won't even have to say things because it'll just kind of understand you. I think we'll get to this point where it's like, it'll be odd not to have a robot buddy. Like, you know, sort of not to have your C-3PO and, you know, R2-D2. So, yeah.
Hi, Elon. Max here, huge fan. Thank you for hosting us. I wanted to ask you, how much integration work do you think will be needed to deploy Optimus into different types of factories, industries? Like, would you need technicians or just have them go watch? And like, how do you foresee that?
Well, I think if you fast forward a few years, it really will be quite a generalized robot. Like, say 2 years from now, like next year like this year it's still quite specific. You know, task-specific training. So to do a particular task, we have to kind of do a fair bit of training to solve that task. But over time, I think you sort of accumulate these kind of training primitives where, like, calling like walking, for example, is a training primitive. Picking something, you know, identifying an object and grabbing it would be a primitive. And these primitives are then generalized to anything. So you could say pick up a cup, pick up a shirt, fold the shirt. These things will generalize, I think, quite quickly. So I expect, probably not next year, but like in 2026, it's really the kind of thing where you could tell it to do kind of a wide range of tasks, including tasks where it has not specifically done that exact thing before, probably in, I'm guessing, 2026. So, sure.
And do you foresee a cheaper version where tasks don't require like walking, for example, or so the hardware will become a lot simpler or cheaper?
Well, we're going to focus on making just a fantastic humanoid robot at scale, and really achieving scale economies and building that humanoid robot. At very high volume, if you're really good at manufacturing, you can get the cost of almost anything down to its constituent elements. Essentially, the weight, and if you just look at the weight of the raw materials times the value of those raw materials, excluding circuit boards, you really can say, like, if it weighs less, it's going to cost less. What I'm saying is that it's better for us to achieve very high volume with Optimus than to have a wide range of robots that have lower volume. Yeah. All right. Hi. There? Okay.
One of the best things about the recertifying of your compensation package was listening to all the positive feedback of current and former employees to what you have contributed to Tesla. In the unfortunate event that you're hit by a car not full self-driving, can you take a few minutes or a few seconds and brag on your board and the rest of your leadership to assure us that even without you, Tesla has an incredible future at $30 trillion?
Well, I think Tesla has a good future without me. I think I'm a helpful accelerant to that future. And for technology, it matters if you're ahead or not ahead a lot. So the rate of, like, what matters is not innovation, but the rate of innovation. You know, can you do in 1 year what other companies do in 2 years or 3 years? So, like, probably my, biggest, most helpful thing is an innovation accelerant. Because given enough time, the various startups that are doing humanoid robots will eventually succeed. One of them will. So what really matters is, can we be much faster than everyone else? Can our product be done a few years ahead before theirs and be better? Because if that's not the case, then they will achieve the valuation and not Tesla. They will make the valuable product and not Tesla. So, that's where I think I'm probably most useful, is accelerating the pace of technology and innovation and getting to scale. That's it mostly. But I am very much heartened by and appreciate the support of current and former Tesla employees, Tesla board, and all you guys for helping out. My heart goes out to you.
Hi, Elon. Jessica, or my name is Jessica, and I have lived full-time RV for about 3 years in South Texas.
Okay.
And I just wanted to thank you for your Starship, or for the Starship program and everything you're doing there. In addition to Tesla.
Do you work at SpaceX or something?
No.
Okay. Okay, but you live in an RV in South Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi. And in my RV park, they don't allow car camping for Teslas or electric vehicles at all if you're not pulling a trailer. And I feel that there's a huge opportunity there, but also for example, people who are coming into town for Starship launches in Teslas, if they could park somewhere overnight and trickle charge.
Okay.
And maybe have access to, bathroom facility or just something simple like that.
Okay.
Just something I wanted to just put forward because I know that a lot of people come into the park and are disappointed they can't stay. So.
Okay, got it.
Just a thought.
All right. I'll inquire and see if there's maybe some place that would allow people to stay in their cars, which in a Tesla you really can often stay quite comfortably in a car. And charge. All right, thanks. All right, I think so. This will have to be the last question, I think, or maybe last two. Yeah. All right. So last two questions, you and you two guys. And
hey, Elon, my name is Steven. I'm truly thankful for all you've done for humanity, and watching your companies and what you've done has been the most exciting, hope-inspiring movie that there's ever been. So thank you so much. And
thank you.
Thank you. And my question today is about lithium refining. In the past, you stated that would be a limiting factor in the future. And I know Tesla has built the refinery in Texas. I was just kind of curious your current opinion about the refining. Do you think there's enough capacity coming online, or will Tesla need to expand past Texas in that regard?
There's enough lithium refining if you count China. If there's a geopolitical challenge on that front, then there may be a shortage of lithium. But China's very good at refining. So, but I think just Tesla figuring out lithium refining, understanding what it takes, and then, once we understand how it works, then we can scale it up from there. And that, I think it's pretty important to, be careful with geopolitical risk, and just make sure that, if in a worst case situation that Tesla is okay. All right, thank you. This is the last question.
Hi, Elon. Thank you. Congratulations for yet another big win. I'm Nikhil. I'm based out of Silicon Valley. And as you mentioned on FSD awareness and giving people rights, because most people, unless they really experience it, they don't quite know how safe it is becoming and how convenient it is becoming. So I built TesMe company. It's a platform for Tesla owners to offer learning experiences, FSD. And we would love to explore how we can help scale with your support and guidance. We'd love to have a follow-up conversation to discuss more details with you, how we can work together. Thank you.
I have a suggestion.
Okay, sure.
Organization to 10 trillion.
Okay.
Can you allow me one?
Sure.
Yeah.
You really want to ask a question?
Follow-up, please.
I'm not sure how to answer that question exactly, but I mean we are focused on improving FSD for sure, and I think the adoption will be widespread. Like when it is really working insanely well, and it's driving like a 5-star Uber driver, I think adoption will be very, very quick. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
I indeed have a really good suggestion.
Okay, what's the suggestion? Sure.
I shared this suggestion with one of your FST team, but I don't know whether it reached you or not. Basically, as FST keep on improving, we are not quite sure at what rate you will be improving the march of lines. So so a lot of skepticism remains as to when you can exactly operate the robot taxi. So it occurred to me that in between supervised FSD and robot taxi, there is something intermediate stage that's commercializable, which is what I would call a robot rental car. Okay, the idea is that you would people would go to your platform to order a rental car, and you would deliver that overnight to the front of their driveway, and then so the only time that that car will be driving without a person is at night with nobody, and you can take as long as you want, and you drop in the front of the car, and after that it's supervised. So that will get you to a commercialization much sooner, much more guaranteed. So that's my suggestion.
All right. Well, I appreciate the thought. I think, like I said, it's the progress in FSD will be really amazing. You'll see with each successive version. Like I said, the best way to think of FSD, ignore the 12, just think of the point number. We're going from version 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, and you'll see just radical improvements with each successive version. And I mean, if the current trend continues, it's going to be like you will really find that you don't intervene in the course of a year type of thing. So even in complex situations. Anyway, with that, thank you very much for your support. So thanks, guys. All right.